All right, so tonight we are continuing with our new series on Midos workshop, and I think I called it today the art of being human. And tonight we're doing another Tisha B'Av edition, and so we talked last time that we're talking about the fact that the Second Temple was destroyed because of Sinat Chinam, and realize Sinat Chinam is divided into two. That there's an element of Sinat Chinam, of baseless hatred, which is more connected to Tammuz, which is about Re'iyah. This is about how we perceive the world around us, how we perceive the people around us, how we perceive the different parts of society, etc. But there's another part, there's another element of the hatred, which makes division, which makes all of our problems in society, and that is really what the month of Av is all about, and that is Shmiya. Okay, Shmiya is hearing, the sense of hearing, the sense of being able to use our ears properly, and this is what the Sefer Yetzirah says is the energy of this month that we just entered. Like this is the month. This is the midah of Av is Shmiya, and that's why it's connected to the tribe of Shimon, which is Shimon is about Lishma, it's about hearing. So this is really where relationships really are dependent on the communication. And this is the art of communication is really all about listening. So this is the essence of what we're learning tonight, of how to accomplish peace, how to accomplish that everybody should get along, how to get rid of all of the hatred, how to get rid of all of the fighting, and how to get rid of all the wars, right? So stop to the hatred, stop to the wars, and this is really just a very critical element of bringing Mashiach, a very critical element of ending this ridiculous exile that we're in. So I want to talk about Shmiya on many different levels, and that I want to start that with just a Jewish perspective on how important it is to be able to listen. There's a famous riddle, philosophical question that I don't even know what the source of this is. That if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there, so does it make a sound? Okay, so I don't know who made up this question and what their motivations were of just to get things to make people just freak out about the fact, about the reality. I don't know what it was, but I do know that according to Torah, so we have a very, very interesting statement. It says that Gadol ha'ina amen yosem min ha'mavarich. That in Judaism we say that if you have one guy that says a bracha, the other guy says amen. So he listens to the blessing and he says yeah. And that's what in therapy we're going to call this active listening. And so the act of answering amen, meaning the act of listening, is greater than saying. Okay? So what does this mean? So the Maharal explains that really the person that listens is actually doing something greater than the person that spoke. Because if a person is a tree in the middle of the forest that falls, so does he actually make a sound? So he probably makes some sound, but it's only a sound. It's not a communication. And the person that turns the sound into a communication is specifically the guy that heard it. Okay, so that's what it means. That Gadol ha'ina amen yosem min ha'mavarich is the person that does the act of listening. So he's actually doing more than the person that spoke because he's turning the speech into a communication. Okay, so this act of hearing, it's an important technique to have. It's also an important quality to have. It's an important characteristic to have. Okay, so I want to divide this into two parts. That we're going to be speaking about the act of listening, so we're talking about two different things. First of all, it's a midah, meaning that it's a character trait. Character traits are not something that you need to be born with. Some people are born with good character traits. Some people have to condition themselves, have to train themselves to be able to connect to the appropriate character traits. And it's also a technique. Okay? Meaning that even if you don't have the character trait, even if you'll never have the character trait, even if you're so emotionally unintelligent that you won't be able to actually have the midah, but at least you'll be able to have the technique. Okay? And this is really the difference between Tammuz and Av. The Tammuz is about the perspective. Tammuz is really about the midah, and Av is really about the actual communication. So even if you aren't able to perceive people with the desire to be able to hear them, but at least you can pretend, and that's enough to hold back all of the wars and all of the murders. And so the truth is when I say murder, so the truth is that this is a Torah that I heard from Shlomo Carlebach, that the first murder in the Torah. So the way that it is when Cain killed Hevel, when Cain killed Abel. So it says Vayomer Cain al Hevel, and Cain said to Hevel, Vayibi Yosem Pasada Vayakum Cain al Hevel Achi V'Ageu. So it says and Cain spoke to Hevel, and they were in the tree, and they were in the forest, and Cain got up and he killed his brother Hevel. So hold on a second. Like the beginning of the pasuk, the very same pasuk says that he was talking, and then the next thing that he killed him. So what's going on? So the commentaries say that the problem was that they didn't know how to have a conversation. And the reason why they weren't able to have a proper conversation is because that they weren't able to listen to each other. That Cain was talking to Hevel, and Hevel probably answered something, and they were just talking at each other instead of listening to each other. And when you're just going to talk at each other and not listen to each other, so then what happens? So then you have your first murder. Okay, this is really all of the aggression in the world. We will be able to get rid of all of the murder. We will be able to get rid of all the wars if we would just be able to listen to each other. So this midah of being able to listen. So this is actually a critical part of bringing peace into the world and bringing redemption into the world. And Rav Shlomo would say that this is what we're accomplishing on Shabbos. On Shabbos, so we have two things. So we have the mitzvah of Suda Shabbos. We have the mitzvah of eating on Shabbos 3 meals. And so he would say that when we eat the holy meals of Shabbos, so we're rectifying the sin of eating, which is the sin of the tree of knowledge. And when we sing Zmiras on Shabbos, so then we're rectifying the sin of Cain and Hevel, because the problem of Cain and Hevel was that they weren't able to listen to each other. And if you know anything about singing, so it's hard to sing if you don't know how to listen. Because if you're not a good listener, then you're not going to be, I experience this every week in Shalosh Shudas, that you have those people that they just don't understand that we're not in the same key as you. You just don't understand that we're not at the same tempo as you, and hello, we're actually doing the low part. We're not doing the hard part. Could you please? And the people, everything, they're saying the wrong words. Just like hello, we're together. If you're not able to listen, then you're not able to sing together, right? You could do, if you're a solo, if you're going to just do your own podcast and just sing to your heart's desire, heart's content. But if you're going to sing together with everybody else, so please keep your ears open. So the ability to sing requires the ability to listen, and so that's by singing together. So that is how we're rectifying the sin of Cain and Hevel. So I want to speak about different elements of listening, and this is B'ezrat Hashem. This is going to help us to acquire this amazing character trait of being able to listen, be able to have the koach hashmiya, and this is really a very necessary part in bringing the geula. So I want to talk about it in 4 different places, which really divides into 2. Okay, number 1. The first place, which is the most obvious place, which is really what we're coming off of, which is the problem of Cain and Hevel, is how to listen when we are in an argument. Okay, so this is a critical quality to be able to have. I think I once told you that I once heard classes from a rabbi named Rav Simcha Cohen, that he gave us classes in marriage counseling. So he told us a personal anecdote that happened to him, that he was giving this class in somebody's house. In Israel, it's called a chug bayit. That you come to somebody's house and it makes it more hamish atmosphere. People are more calm and people are more able to receive. So they had a chug bayit of all these different couples. They were coming, and he was giving a class about shalom bayis. And he said it was like he didn't know what to do. It was like he was telling us as advice, if in case we should ever come upon such a thing. So there was couples there and people there with their spouses, and some guy says, "Rabbi, I need your advice. What do you do if your wife is always shouting at you?" So he it's completely ridiculous that he was saying this in front of his wife. So he said Rav Khan said he had the amazing inspiration from Hashem. So he said first of all, I assume you're asking me because you overhear your neighbors, that they're always arguing. You always hear that your neighbor's wife is shouting at him, and so you want to know what you should tell your neighbor. Maybe that he can give him some advice. So let me give you some advice to tell your neighbor that sometimes you have a wife, and she talks to her husband, and he just doesn't listen. So she has to talk a little bit louder, and that's how he's going to listen. So tell your neighbor that it's very simple. If he'll start listening, then she will stop shouting. So this is a very simple skill that if you want that in arguments. So if you're not able to listen, so then it's never going to go anywhere. It's just going to become a shouting match. And shouting matches just don't get anywhere. And if you leave shouting matches to their natural conclusion, so then you're going to get like kind of level, and then you're gonna one of the spouses will be available for shidduchim. So this is the first element. The first element of hearing, of listening, is when it comes to arguing, to the skill of being able to listen. And so to clarify, what is the value of being able to listen in an argument? It's very simple. The value to listening in an argument is because that's the only way to win the argument. Meaning that there's there's two ways to get things done. There's one way to get things done is through aggression, and the other way to get things done is through communication. So the only way to win an argument is only if you're going to listen. So if you're not going to listen, so by definition, you could just shout at them until they just are scared to answer back at you, but that's not called communication. That's not even called that you argued. That's just called that you just intimidated them. There's no difference. It's called verbal abuse. We have a term in English that when you're verbally abusing somebody, so you're not communicating to them. You're using your voice as a spear. You're using your voice as a whip, and you're just hurting the person through your voice. So that's not called communication. That's just called aggression. Okay? So the only way to actually win an argument is only if you're going to be able to listen. It's completely impossible to win the argument. So if you want to win an argument, if you want to get your way, if you want people to agree with you in order that you should get things that you want, so then it's necessary to have the skill of listening. Okay. Mm-hmm.
What if you know how to listen but the other people don't? So you're sitting there listening, but how do you win the argument if they're not listening?
I think sometimes it's actually going to be a brick wall. Sometimes people are just so dense that it's impossible to get anywhere with them, and sometimes if you really use the techniques that we're going to speak about, so then you can get them to listen to you as well. Okay? Because probably a lot of times the reason why people aren't able to listen is because they feel that you're not listening to them. Okay? So it's not going to be foolproof. Sometimes you're gonna just need to get that gun, and I'm just kidding. But it's your best chance. Your best chance is only if you're going to listen, because the person that doesn't know how to listen has no potential of listening if you're not going to listen to them. Okay. Number two. So we're going to want to listen to people if we want to help people. Okay, and this is why we want to be a good friend for somebody. This is why I have somebody who's in need. Somebody that if you want to be any position of a therapist or a rabbi or just any person that people come to for help. So that it's a critical tool to be able to listen properly, and the value of being able to listen to somebody is because you want to help them, because you want to help them. A person, like some people that have this natural calling that they want to help people, and that if people come to you, so they have this tendency to just like lash out with advice, and they can't like you're coming to me because I'm so smart and I know what to say and I have all the wisdom, and they forget that actually a critical part of helping somebody is actually to listen to them, and they actually won't heal until you're able to listen to them in a real way. So that's the second element. Second element of listening is when we're trying to help somebody else, not when we're trying to get our way, but when we're to help somebody. And then then there's another kind of listening. Okay, and this also divides into two. That when it comes to learning, so there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos talks about that there's Memches Kinyan HaTorah. There's 48 ways through which a person acquires Torah. The first one is to learn Talmud. Number 2 is Shmias Eisen, the ability to listen. Okay, meaning that if a person is just not there, so they're actually never going to grow, they're never going to learn, and they're going to be stuck. They're going to be paralyzed where they were. And like, who wants to be stuck? Who wants to remain at the same level of wisdom that they are? So the Mishnah says that the only way to grow, the only way to become a wiser person, is only if you have this quality that you're able to listen, you're able to. I'm interested in absorbing new information. So this is the value of that is obvious. That if I don't have the value of listening, so then I think I know everything, so I'm stuck. Okay, so as much as I know, so obviously there's more to know. And if I'm not going to have this midah of being able to learn, so then being able to listen, so then I'm going to be stuck. And this is something that it's tragic. It's tragic when people don't feel that they have what to learn. That like somebody told me that he was many years ago. They told me that he was in the Chevan Yeshiva, and he was in the highest chair in Chevan, that Rav David Cohen. And so he said the people that like it was crazy how the kids in the class that like I don't know if this is true today, I hope it's not, but like this was 20 years ago, that so the Rav David would read the Gemara, and then they couldn't do anything, and then he would read the Rashi. So there's like, what are you supposed to respond? He said, Mashma me Rashi, like it would seem from Rashi, and that he just said those 2 words, Mashma me Rashi. It would seem from Rashi, and after those 2 words, so then 20 people were shouting after David that, why do you think it's the Dash? No, it's not Mashma me Rashi, and they were already arguing with him. Okay, meaning that what does that mean? That there's something like I had this observation then, like that I think there's a difference between Americans and Israelis in the sense, like in Yeshiva Bachar, that Americans want to listen. Americans will have more of a desire to go to the Rebbe, that like, yes, like you have something that I don't have, I would like to become wiser. And like Israelis, for whatever reason, at least 20 years ago, so there's like, it's more like, I want to speak, I want to show you that like there's even like in like somebody, it's like there's like a desire to be heard, a desire to that boys have a desire to go over to the Rebbe to tell them what they think, and just to be able to say to their friends that like, I said this over to so and so, and he said interesting, and so a critical part in becoming wiser is Shmias Eisen, is the ability to say, I want to become wiser. It's like I like some people, so like they don't really listen. They're like, I saw it like really in this story about Rav David Cohen, that like some people that they don't. It's not that they're listening; they're just waiting for their turn to talk. So like at the moment that the mic is available, so I'm gonna steal the mic, and like I want to be present. And it's a horrible trait. Like just to not be able to listen means that I'm not interested in growing. I'm not interested in becoming wiser. That like I'm just waiting for my turn to talk. Number 4, which is really connected to number 3, is that can I listen when I'm being criticized? Okay, when somebody has something that to tell me that they think that I didn't do something the best way possible, so am I able to listen to them, or and like, what does it mean to be able to listen? To be able to receive the criticism in a healthy way, or do I automatically turn it into attack? That I'm automatically feel like a victim because like, how dare you tell me that I didn't do something perfect? That obviously means that you're calling me out as being a failure, and that I think you have a problem instead of I don't think I have a problem, I think you have a problem, and like I'm becoming defensive or just escaping. And can I listen, or am I just unable to receive any criticism? So this is connected to the 3rd point. That connected to the ability of becoming wiser. It's just that there's wisdom when it comes to just wisdom of life, wisdom of Torah, and that there's wisdom of actually my personal like how I'm doing. That am I interested in becoming wiser when it comes to my actual performance in life. So what are the different qualities that we need in order to be able to listen, in order to be able to acquire this midah of shmiya. So I think there's a couple of overarching traits that we need to have, that it would be impossible to really have shmiya without having these things, and some of them are some of them are unique to shmiya, and some of them are just really just general qualities. Number one, that I think that no elements of shmiya are possible if a person is overwhelmed. Okay, if a person is just overwhelmed with life, so then they aren't able to hear anything. Okay, you're not able to hear somebody else in an argument. You're not able to hear hear a friend. You can't be there for a friend because you're just like, I'm barely surviving myself, and I can't go to if I'm overwhelmed with life, with life, so first of all, I'm just going to be antsy. I can't like take a okay, maybe there's more to this situation that I understand. Let's talk this out. When I'm overwhelmed, I'm not in the state for I'm in the mood for a fight when I'm overwhelmed with life. Okay, when it comes to healing, I can't be there for you when I'm overwhelmed with life. When it comes to learning, I notice this, like in people that are overwhelmed with life, they'll sometimes go to a class, but they aren't actually interested in learning. They're interested in being entertained. Okay, meaning when a person is overwhelmed with life, so like they want to just consume. They want to be like they want to just like make me laugh. They want to like tell me something that I can just like zone out and just listen to your class and feel like I had a pleasant experience, but actually to learn something that they aren't in the headspace. A person that's overwhelmed with life is not in the headspace to learn, to grow, and they're not going to become wiser. They're by definition not going to become wiser, because the only thing that they're going to take out of the class was some element of entertainment. So like they're going to remember the jokes, they're going to remember and they're only going to go to the teachers that are amazing entertainers, that are full of jokes and amazing whatever, and they actually aren't going to become wiser because they just aren't in the headspace to grow. Because they don't have this headspace of shmiya. And certainly, a person who's overwhelmed with life is not there to receive criticism. If you're going to criticize a person that's overwhelmed with life, so of course there's no one there. So the first prerequisite to shmiya is actually a different midah. That it's impossible to have shmiya unless you have yishuv hadas. Okay, yishuv hadas means that the person is not overwhelmed with life. A person is at peace with himself. A person is dealing with life. Okay, and that sometimes that means that just to do whatever it takes. Sometimes just to zone out. Sometimes you need to take a break in order to achieve yishuv hadas. Sometimes you need to meditate if you know how to do that, and sometimes you need to do self-care, and you just whatever it takes. Like the first, you can't be able to be a shomea unless you're not overwhelmed with life. Okay. Now, another prerequisite to be able to have this midah of being able to be shomea, being able to listen in life, is that I can't be self-centered. A person that's just obsessed with himself. So this is like with these boys in the class that were like just waiting for their turn to talk. So I wonder what their problem is. Is the problem that they think that they already know everything, or is the problem that they're just it's all about me? It's all about my because you could have a person who's self-centered that's willing to listen, right? Let's say a person that their thing is that they like going around telling people that they had conversations with big rabbis. So they have a conversation with a rabbi, but really the purpose of the conversation is really just to be able to tell somebody else that I was coming. So it's really so. Of course, that person is actually never going to actually be able to receive anything from the rabbi. They're actually not. It's all about that, like what I was able to talk to him and so that's also not shmir. Okay, so you could have an American that isn't hearing what the rabbi has to say, but they aren't actually growing. They're actually just they're interested in telling over the story afterwards because it's all about me. So a person that's all about me. So they'll never have a real shmiyah. Like these people that the point of the conversation is naturally what I answered you. Like you asked me a question, so of course the point of the value of the fact that you asked me something is the fact that I'm going to answer you something, and there's no place for just being there for you. Like just a person who's self-centered will never tell you that's an amazing question, even though a lot of times, like with the person asking the question, really what they needed to hear is precisely that was an amazing question. The kind of person that's just overwhelmed with life and just needed to have their feelings validated. So if you're going to give them a solution, because like obviously you came to me because I am the expert in life, and I'm going to give you advice, and they'll never be able to have this midah of shmiyah because it's all about me. Because like if the conversation is all about me, so of course the shmiyah is never about me. It's about giving place for you. Okay, so a person who's self-centered, a person who's all that there is no place for anybody else. So of course they're never going to have this midah of shmiyah. Number 3. So this is also a very difficult character trait, a difficult prerequisite. A person that feels that I've already got enough, a person that feels that like I'm good, so they'll never be able to really have shmiyah, because a person, in order to have shmiyah, a person needs to have a desire to expand, a desire to become something bigger, a desire to grow. And like there's like everybody puts on their like shidduch resume, like I'm growth oriented. I'm like I want to be, and it's fascinating to me that sometimes the people say this and they don't know what it means. Like sometimes, from my experience, the people that tell me, people that have told me that please, if you notice anything that's wrong with me, please call me out, because I love when people tell me how I can do. People give me musar. It's always the word they use. I love when people give me musar so I can improve myself. I love to improve myself. Those are always the people that if you even hint to something, so like they're automatically defended. They're defending themselves, and they can't hear criticism because they actually have no desire to grow. It's just like they're so full of themselves that they want to even have the midah that they're growth oriented. So like you can't call me out on that. So it's a very real thing, the desire to want to grow, the desire to realize that I'm so far from where I would like to be it's a critical element in all of the elements of shmiyah, that if I don't actually want to grow, so like I'm never going to be able to hear a new perspective. If I think that like there is no right besides what I think, so then I've never been able to have a conversation with somebody. I'll never be able to really to hear them out. That of course I'm going to just be waiting for my turn to prove them wrong. I'm going to wait for my turn to be able to show them the cracks in their arguments. I'm never going to get I'm never going to get anywhere in the argument. I'm never going to be able to help somebody because what they're coming to me for is really for healing, and they're not coming for advice. I'm certainly not going to be able to grow, not going to be able to learn Torah because I think I already know enough, and certainly I'm not going to be able to take criticism. So really there's an underlying necessary trait in order to be able to have shmiyah is a feeling of being incomplete. Okay, so really the underlying tchunas, the underlying midos that I want, it's impossible to have shmiyah without these three things. You could say that the tchuna, that the midah of Shmiya is actually some kind of merging of these three midos of, first of all, to have patience, to have yeshiva das, to be able to, I'm not overwhelmed with life. Number two, that it's not all about me. And number three, that I actually feel that I'm incomplete. I actually feel that I have more to grow. I want to receive more. Now, when it comes to the shmiya of healing somebody, when it comes to being there for somebody, so there's an amazing thing that like this is what I think is really the essence of like the month of Av. When we're talking about like the month of Av is all about shmiya. So there's something very special. Like we talk about the learning Torah. We're talking about learning Torah as like the most important mitzvah, as the most important way of connecting with God. So why is learning Torah so? Why is learning Torah the greatest way to come close to Hashem? So the Baal Tanya says that what's special about learning Torah that doesn't exist with any other mitzvah is that in the word of Hashem is the essence of Hashem. So when I'm obtaining, when I'm immersing myself, when I'm absorbing the words of Hashem, I'm actually absorbing Hashem Himself. Okay, so in a more general way, when I'm really listening to somebody, so a piece of them comes inside of me. Okay, the only way to truly connect with someone is by actually listening, because by truly listening to somebody, so their words, which is their thoughts and their emotions, their reality, so if I'm truly listening to them, so I'm allowing them to come inside of me. And that's how true connection requires true listening. Okay? So that the only way that I can truly connect with somebody is only if I'm actually going to give them space in myself, that I'm allowing you to, with all of your ideas and with all of your existence, to come into me. So this is the only way that I can heal you is actually by like giving you space inside of myself. Okay, so it's a very necessary. If I'm feeling that like I'm full, so like of course, why would I let anybody come inside of me? Like you're only going to mess with me. You're only going to like you're so messed up. And like I'm saying this to everybody, like everybody in the world is so messed up. So like, why would I want them to have space inside of my heart? They can only make me worse. So like, of course, I'm never going to give people that space inside of my heart. So this is we're talking about shmiya. We're talking about shmiya as a midah. We're talking shmiya as a tchuna, as a trait. So some people have this naturally. Some people have natural yeshiva das, and they have natural healthy ego. It's not all about me, and they have naturally that they want to grow and they want to expand, and some people don't. And it's something that we can condition ourselves. Like a person is called upon to be a successful Jew, so is called upon to make sure that they have yeshiva das, to make sure that they have peace of mind. And it's something that we're going to speak about separately, but you can't have shmiya unless you have peace of mind, unless you're not self-centered, and unless you have a desire to grow. So all these together, so that is the place that I have shmiya. So once I have the midah, so then I can go on to the actual technique and the actual ability to listen properly. So what does it mean? What does it mean to be able to listen? So a couple of things. So in order to really be able to listen to somebody, so I need to be present. So what does it mean? What does it mean to be present? First of all, that if I'm going to be on my phone, I'm going to have distractions, so I can't really listen to them. Okay, a person is never going to feel that you listened to them if you're not distracted, if you're distracted. So it's not called real listening if I'm just constantly thinking of what I'm going to say, thinking of what I'm going to answer. Like if I'm not giving you I want to hear you out, I want to understand you. So if I'm just thinking of how I'm going to respond, so then I'm already in answering mode, and it's all about me, and that's not listening. Okay. Number three, and this is a very hard one. This is a very hard one in a lot of different places. That it's not called listening unless you can listen without being judgmental. Okay? Meaning that if I'm judging you, I'm not really listening to you. And this is now the first two are pretty self-explanatory. But let's try to understand why is it not called listening if I'm going to judge you. So in the listening of an argument. Okay, so if I'm listening to you with judgment, so then you're never going to feel that I understood you. If you're never going to feel that I understood you, so then you're never going to accept another way to look at the situation. Right? Like in any argument. So my goal is that I want to win the argument. I want you to adapt my way of looking at something. So unless you feel that I heard you out, you're never going to want to hear my way out, right? Like meaning that as long as you're still shouting at me, like how we started the class, like why do people shout? Because the person didn't listen to them. So what's it mean to listen? That I need to make you feel heard, that I get what you're saying. So like that means that I acknowledge what you're saying, acknowledge that there is room for what you're saying. Okay, I get where you're coming from. That's what it means to listen without judgmental. So when it comes to healing somebody, so certainly like if I'm going to judge them, and they're going to tell me something vulnerable, and they're going to say, really, you oh my gosh, you actually did that, you actually, like, I think I have to call the cops. I'm not. Oh my gosh! Like so, like they feel like I don't think I can be your friend anymore. I think if they feel that you're being judgmental, so then you of course you ruin the friendship. Of course they're never going to come back to you, and of course you have no possibility of ever healing them. They just felt they feel stupid for sharing. It's going to take them a good amount of years before they're going to be able to open up to anybody, and they're going to just like be living with their trauma you're pushing off their healing. You're absolutely not helping their healing by being judgmental.
What if the person is judging himself that he's judgmental about what he's done? Let's say he's telling something that he did.
Yeah.
He's judging also himself the same way you would have judged him.
Okay.
It's not really healing himself. It's not necessarily.
If the person judging already himself, then it doesn't matter if I judge him or not.
No, he already has himself. He's already judging himself. He doesn't need himself.
Yeah, right. He doesn't need you. If he's judging himself, then your judgment is unnecessary. Your job, the only way that you can perform your mission of listening to him in order to heal him, is only by listening to him without being judgmental. Okay? Meaning, like, there's a second stage to the conversation when you both decide that you're ready to try to move forward and think how we can fix the situation. So at that point, so you can start using your judgment. But in the stage of listening, so if you're judging as you're listening, so that's not called listening. Okay? Listening means to make space inside of me for you, and to allow you to enter me, and then it requires just hearing you out, just validating. Okay, meaning that because the truth is that everybody has some reason why they're doing something. Everybody has some kind of motivation. It could be it's the wrong motivation, but to give validation to that place that it's like I hear where you're coming from. They're like I also could have done that. This is I remember hearing that Chatzkel Levenstein. So once there was in the news that one of the first murders that took place in the state of Israel, like after 1948, and so it was shocking. It was shocking to everybody. It was shocking to everybody that that murder took place in the state of Israel, and so like Chatzkel said to somebody that he was really very taken by it. And somebody was asking why is this such a big deal to you? So he said because it made me think that I could also be a murderer. Meaning that when he heard that something could happen, he heard that somebody killed somebody, so he took that to the place. He was listening to the news. He was listening to the news in the place that wow, that's that's real. That's normal. Like, he's human. I'm human. Like that's amazing listening. That's amazing being able to bring out without. Of course, it's necessary to judge. And so yes, you shouldn't validate those desires and those feelings inside of you that want to kill somebody. But before you can tackle them, before you can find a solution, you need to validate them, right? And of course, when it comes to the when it comes to the second part, when it comes to learning, so like as long as if I'm going to be judgmental of what I'm hearing, so I'm never going to be able to grow. If I whenever you say something, so I'm going to say, oh yeah, of course you think that because of such and such. I'm never going to give validity to new ideas that I hear. I'm going to explain, oh, he thinks like that because of such and such. So I'm never going to be able to open up to the fact that there's something new. Okay, so if I'm going to be judgmental when I'm hearing new information, when I'm hearing new ideas, so then I'm never going to grow. If my first response to new information is that's so dumb, that I'm going to that it's impossible for me to incorporate new ideas into the way I look at life if I'm going to judge the things that I don't know as wrong by definition, as stupid by definition, as immature by definition, as connected to some agenda by some definition. And like if I'm going to explain why it makes sense, why I didn't think of this, and why, so then of course I'm never going to get anywhere. And of course when it comes to criticism, so if somebody is criticizing me and I'm going to judge them, I think you're super sensitive. I think that you have I think that if you people sometimes they apologize without apologizing. They say like, I'm sorry that you feel that way. So I'm sorry that you feel that way means that I'm good, and you have a problem. That you feel that way. That's you're and so that's really not that's obviously not apology, right? And so I'm sorry that you feel that way means that I'm judging your criticism. That there's obviously something wrong with you. If you could have the audacity to find a fault in me, so there's obviously a fault in you. So that's obviously I'm never going to be able to grow in my personal life if I'm going to judge those who judge me. Okay, so that's the element of not being judgmental. And so in listening, so I need to be very present. I need to really want to hear you. I want to be actually listening to you, and so how do we do it? How do we do it? So like to show somebody that you're listening. So there's in DBT. So they call this give. Give. I'm not sure exactly what all the different things mean. Give means the gentle, interested, validating, and easy. Okay, that's the listening skills of DBT. I'm not exactly sure what's the difference between gentle and easy, because I think that gentle and easy are both basically that, like, if you're going to be very if you're going to be argumentative, if you're going to attacking, it's like, so then you're not listening. Like if you want to make an atmosphere of calmness, if you want somebody to open up to you, if you want to be able to have a real conversation. So what does it mean, interest? It means that you have to be genuinely interested with somebody. Okay, so how do you show interest with somebody? So to make eye contact, to have a certain posture of like that, to not feel like that the person shouldn't see in you that you're just waiting for this conversation to end. To have responses, to have like small responses, like wow, like, that's it. Yeah, totally. Like that's a show. It's a way of showing that you're interested, and to be calm, even to like the easy and the gentle is like to be calm, even if the other person is shouting, that to be able to de-escalate the conversation, to be able to take the criticism like in a gentle way, to be able to like receive information in a gentle way. You can't listen unless you're gentle, because if you're not gentle, then you're overwhelmed. And the last thing is to validate. is to validate that the only way to actually listen is to validate. So what does this mean? That to validate, to acknowledge their feelings, to acknowledge that there is something that this person is saying. Because whatever somebody's saying, there's always something to validate. It's impossible that there is nothing to validate. It's impossible that the person was acting from complete insanity. If I guess there is extreme insanity that there's actually no validation of what a person's saying. The person asks the person, why did you do that? And he says, I have no idea why I did that. So that I can validate that you don't understand why I did that. But I can't validate what you did. But in the conversation, there's always room for validating somebody's feelings. They're always validating, and so this is a necessary part. That if I actually want this person to feel heard, in order that they should be willing to hear my side of the coin, my perspective in looking at something. So they're not going to feel listened to until I validate them. And so I need to be able to validate things that are wrong. I need to be able to acknowledge that there can be truth even if it's wrong. What does this mean? That to validate that the person can have valid motivations even if those motivations are unjustified. Okay? And a person is never going to be able to listen until they feel justified, until they feel validated. That you don't need to justify them, but you need to validate them. You need to say that, I understand that makes you very angry. Wow. It must be so hard to feel so angry. It must be so hard that you feel so traumatized. It must be so hard that nobody gets you. It must be so hard that you feel so alone. To validate feelings. Feelings can always be validated because feelings are realities. And so when you're arguing with somebody, if they're not going to feel validated, then they're never going to be listened to, and then you're never going to win the argument. If you're trying to help somebody, you're trying to heal somebody, you're trying to get them out of their traumas, you're trying to get them out of their being stuck, so they're never going to feel heard if you don't validate where they're coming from. If you don't feel that their struggle is real, if they're not going to hear from you actively that their struggle is real, then you're never going to succeed in healing them. If you're not going to validate that when somebody is trying to teach you something, if you're not going to validate that there is something awesome in this new kind of information, this new way of looking at something, you're never going to become wiser. And I'm not going to validate when somebody is giving me criticism, so I'm never going to be able to grow. So it's impossible to listen without validating. So this is really the technique of listening. That if I want to be able to be a good listener, so it's required, it's necessary to, first of all, to be able to be calm, to be able to remain my peace of mind, and to keep my peace of mind, to be able to actually be interested. Really, this is the interested. This is what we're talking about, having the tchuna of desiring to grow, and really not being self-centered, and to be interested in what you have to say. And number three, to validate. That without validating, so actually never going to be able to listen properly. This is the fullest element of listening, requires validating. And this is the amen. This is what we started the class. The gadol ha'ina amen yosem mivarech is that to turn a statement into a communication requires this validation. That's really what the amen means on a deeper level. And this is really the only way that the world is going to get anywhere. This is the only way that we can have conversations. This is the only way that we're going to be able to make headway in all of the hostility that there is in the world, in all the misunderstandings and all the disagreements in the world. That if people aren't going to learn to listen, then all of the hostility is going to remain. So this is really what the month of Av requires. This is really what we need in order to get rid of all the sinat chinam. This is what we need in order to get rid of all of the wars, which is going to be one of the facets of the Geula is the ability to listen, the ability to validate, the ability to really to receive, the ability to have space inside of ourselves for each other, which is really going to bring to connection, which is going to bring to unity, which is going to bring to love, which is going to bring to Geula B'ezrat Hashem.